cool, good, but like before I was like, okay, well, it's gonna get better, like, you're doing fine and all that.
Oh, hey, where did you walk in? Hi. Welcome.
Yeah, it's the WatchTower.
Shit out of me.
I feel like it's...
What? Now you're on.
Welcome back to the Towercast podcast, the Italian podcast for the Italian filmmaker. I'm here with a very special guest, Carlos Della...
Guest? Holy shit.
Welcome back to the WatchTower podcast, the watching tower of podcast. I am your host,
The watching tower.
Carlos Della Torre, director of films such as Just Passing Through, the record one. Yeah,
What record was it?
I've directed those.
Are you having a
and
stroke right now?
Stroke of genius, go on.
and I'm here.
What other
now.
films have you made?
We're here with some very special people. Let me introduce this wonderful panel.
Use the word special too much? Is that what's going on here?
Let me introduce this wonderful panel. We have our cinematographer perspective, Michael Dello.
Well,
Back-
Whoa.
I'm funny. Ah,
Lighting.
Very good. Very good.
lighting.
You're doing great for not being in front of the camera. We have our actor extraordinaire, Castro Della... Wait, what's your last name?
Welcome back to the WatchTower podcast, the film review podcast on the new Towercast network. We're not all that new anymore, right? But if you haven't checked us out on Instagram, go to the Towercast network. It's where we preview everything that's going on with this show and the Towercast podcast. We just released our San Antonio episode. We apologize for the audio, but we had a good time, and we don't apologize for that. Talking to some of these legends.
Wow.
Today, however, we're talking about cinema. We're talking about films. We're the critics, if you will, and I'm going to introduce my fellow critics today. Mr. Michael Lalao giving us a cinematography perspective.
Hello, guys. Ready to talk about cinematography, as always.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah, kind of. Lighting.
Yeah,
Lighting.
it's there.
Mr. John Eric Castro giving us the actor perspective.
I gotta admit, once I saw this film, I bought like a couple of racing games and Xbox.
Couple of Hot Wheels.
A couple of Hot Wheels,
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I really like this film.
Last but not least, we have Mr. Austin Young making sure we're sounding great and looking great there in the background.
What a day.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Howdy, y'all.
At the time of this recording, he's about to leave us for like a week on vacation on this nice
Where are you going?
a cruise ship, and we're not gonna have Austin around.
Wait, you're going on a cruise ship?
We're on this at 10.
Hold on.
No,
I'm just scared of like getting stuck in the cruise ship, like in case something else happens.
Is that supposed to be a fat joke?
Wow.
No. But I heard that when that happened in March, right? When it all started.
That's
Like till
COVID.
June, people had to stay in the boat.
Oh nah, but
That's
that's
what scares me.
like they're doing a bunch of stuff like 95% vaccinated, like a
Okay,
ton of
Yeah,
stuff that
Cool,
like,
cool,
all
cool.
cruise
I
lines
completely
are,
forgot about that.
Yeah.
I mean, it
happened a couple times, but it wasn't like this.
isn't it so
Well,
wacky
there was a couple
that,
of
like,
cruise ships that were docked for a couple of months.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Like people
that they
tweeting
didn't
what
want
were
to. They
eating.
didn't want to let anybody on, and they
Yeah.
had to get like special supplies.
Austin knows more.
So just
about
be careful
that.
with that,
They did what they'll do. What cruise lines will do is like they'll do test runs with people that work for the company.
Mm-hmm.
So like they'll do a 3-night or a 5-night or a 7-night like cruise, and give their employees free cruises, and they'll test it that way. And if it works out,
Hey,
then
dude,
it's
you
gonna
should
be
try
cool.
like do a podcast over there, man. Like in the middle of the pool, start interviewing
You know how
people.
expensive the Wi-Fi is? You know how
That's
expensive
true.
the Wi-Fi
Oh my
is.
god,
You did it.
It's like $80 an hour or something. It's like
Yeah.
whoa.
No way.
Anyways,
You download films, you watch films on the cruise ship. I've been giving Austin a list of films, like downloaded these films and just watch them over there, because that's like I've been told at least like my cousin and Austin like, dude, take a book, write a screenplay, like you just sit for however long and do nothing. And it sounds tempting, right? Like you just chill and relax as opposed to running around all the time. Which a couple weeks from now, I'm going to be going to California, which I'm going to be doing a lot of running around.
always.
So, But today, we're going to be talking about Mr. Young's choice of film.
His pick for the day.
An interesting choice. It doesn't surprise me that Austin picked this film. When I first met Austin in quote unquote film school, he wanted to be a TV director for like sports networks.
Ooh.
So he has an eye for like
Documentaries?
Yeah, I think
Like
no,
20
more
for
like
20?
sports TV,
30 for
like
30?
Sports Center, that type of thing. But
Da-na-na.
even like
Da-na-na.
with the 30 for 30s and stuff like that, I mean, you have to have an eye for that kind of stuff, right? Like on what looks
Yeah.
good on the sports front. And this film looked pretty good on the sports front, although I do have a lot of questions on the cinematography. We're talking
How?
about no. We're
You're
talking
chasing a speeding car. How can you?
Nah. Most of it was shot in the studio like this with green all around
Really?
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
it's-
They
Yeah.
were amazing.
I mean, they had some
man.
stunts. Don't
They
get me
kept
wrong,
you on your
but
seat, for
we're
sure.
talking about Ron Howard's Rush, starring Chris Hemsworth and Daniel. I always mess up his last name.
Radcliffe.
No, not Radcliffe.
Yeah, I don't know who
Harry,
that guy
Harry
is.
Potter was not in this film. He's come out in a few
He
films.
plays Nicky Lara.
He was in
Daniel Bruler.
Oh yeah. Brule.
He was in the
I
Nazi
don't
film.
pronounce it very
Bruhl.
well.
Brule.
Brule. He's you know him from like Captain America,
Was Brule
Winter Soldier. He was kind of the villain.
I haven't seen him.
You're right. It was Civil War.
He didn't seem recognizable. I didn't
He
know
was.
who
He's a good actor, man. I think he's been up for like Oscar buzz, not necessarily noms, but he's been up for Oscar buzz, including this one, by the way. People were like, "Why didn't he get nominated for an Oscar for this film?"
Well, this is my first impression.
Okay. Well, you didn't like him?
The first 10 minutes were kind of hard to watch because of him. I stayed
Really?
glued to my seat because of Chris Hemsworth playing James Hunt.
I mean, but you know what?
But-
I blame that on the marketing. I blame
No,
that on
no,
the
no, no.
marketing. No, I blame it on the marketing because the way this film is marketed.
Because I love his character towards the end better than James Hunt.
The way you root for this guy, you root for Chris Hemsworth's character until you realize he's not the hero.
No, there's no bad guy.
But there isn't. But because they get along in the third act. But ultimately, Chris Hemsworth's character's the dick.
Not really.
No, he is. He's kind of the dick.
He's the playboy guy that just doesn't know how good he is, so he's living life to the fullest. But what I see this as is
Yeah.
it's not so much a rivalry. It's they're both getting the best out of each
It's
other.
playful competition. I mean, to some
That's
degree,
like
right?
that's like the meaning at the end is
Right,
that like that
right.
it was that competition that ended up them growing and
Yeah.
they never saw that.
Yeah,
They just saw
that's
that
the
they
arc.
hated each other.
That's
Yeah.
the arc, and I think
Yeah.
Ron Howard was trying to be clever with it. Like, let's
I
make
think he
people
pulled it
think
off.
because this was post Thor, at least the first Thor.
Yeah.
Let's make people think that Thor is the hero when he's really not.
Yeah.
I mean, we're
And
talking about the first 10 minutes.
Yeah,
First
yeah.
10 minutes, we're following Hemsworth's character.
And you're thinking
and his
it's gonna be from
trajectory.
his perspective
Yeah,
the whole
but it's
and
not.
it's not.
It's pretty split down the middle.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, what rating? Initial rating.
Oh, you know what, man? It just those first 10 minutes kind of regret. I got out of my chair like 3 or 4 times.
Really?
But man, the story starts to develop.
Yeah, sure.
It goes from him not wanting to race
Yeah.
because it's raining too much. There's hope to him having the accident, to the recovery. His motivation was James Hunt.
Right,
Remember one of the
right,
lines
right,
he says,
right.
"I saw you winning all those races, and that's what got me out of it."
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like this film a lot. I give it a 9.3.
Really?
Wow, that's high. That's interesting. I told you he was gonna like it.
Just
I told
because,
you.
and I think this is why Austin picked it. The editing.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. You guys talking about the cinematography that you guys have questions, but the editing, like how to cut a film of an F1 car.
I didn't know, man. I feel like. I mean, look. There's two schools of thought when it comes to editing. The edit you see and the edit you don't see. That's really what it boils down to for a lot of people. And
Well, I see
this
it as-
this one was more of a edit you see. What bugged me about it is that the pacing for the first act and the third act was perfect. The pacing in the second act was weird. It
What
was
was the first-
it
what was
gets
the middle? What
very
was the
slow.
second?
I mean, it gets very slow. The moment, specifically the moments he spends in the hospital, the arc with the wife, like all that stuff feels very slow. Very like I dozed off a couple
Putting
times.
the tube down his throat.
No, I mean those scenes. I mean, when the action of it is
Yeah.
fine, but the
The
pacing,
punchy scene.
yeah, the pacing of that whole
Oh man, I think I loved it. I
it
think
felt,
that's
felt super slow for me
okay. Okay.
on an editing front. On an editing,
Yeah, that
front.
was my first impression because I loved it when the first car crash where he starts to burn up.
Sure.
I like the whole perspective. Of,
Oh yeah.
The
I mean, the
hospital.
the effects, a lot of the stuff was. Very
Cause I've
interesting.
gone to like surgery for a couple of things, and
Yeah.
that's kind of like you're
The
going
feeling,
in and out.
the
Yeah,
feeling.
you're freaking out. You're
The
thinking-
lens that they use, the
I thought it was
Oh,
perfect.
yeah.
It had me on my seat, but yeah, that was 9.3
I
is
don't know what you
my.
call it, like a reverse snorri cam. I don't even know. Like it's, I mean, it's a POV ultimately, right? But it's like they wrap bandages around a lens or whatever they did just to get that
Oh,
effect.
shit, yeah.
But anyways, 9.3.
My little rant.
Excuse
You
me.
know,
And don't worry, Austin, don't worry about it. If you-
I'll give it like
as a movie, like
as-
was it when you're on your seat, were you watching it, where you're like, when he crashes.
Not because it's a bad film,
Right.
just because it doesn't follow in my wheelhouse
Yeah.
and genre, but I can respect the genre that it is.
Mhm.
I'll put it at like 7.9, you know, around
Sure.
that kind of like soft 8.
What is that? A C plus?
C
That's
plus.
a C plus, but it's less about the film itself and more about my own personal taste.
Right.
Okay.
You know, because I feel like the film did a lot. There's the thing about editing things that are like sports films, or in this case, like F1, like sports
Right,
cars and all that
right,
kind of
right.
stuff, where you need to really understand that whole world to be able to write a story where it intrigues you and you're able to
Sure.
get into the emotion,
Yeah.
see the tensions, that kind of weight and all that. Those punches, like that kind of fast pace, it's not what I look for when I'm trying to look for a film.
Understandable.
I want something that burns a little slower, but I can really respect what they did, you know, especially for getting me into. So,
Not quite your taste.
yeah,
7.9.
7.9.
I'm saying 7.9 because, you know, there is an art form behind those type of
Yeah,
films.
they're their own. Yeah.
And I
I'll
like,
talk
you know
about
what? It's similar to like when you see like Glory Road or like basketball,
Right.
sports
Right.
films and all that kind of stuff. Where, okay,
I'm a YouTube guy, but
in the sense
It was a
of
Disney picture.
no,
Yeah,
but in
yeah.
the sense of like you have to find a way to get an audience who's never experienced
Yeah,
any
yeah.
of this before, the behind the scenes, in the sense of like, you know, making the fastest car, trying to
Not,
be
not
the
only
most
does it
competitive
have
one.
its own market, it's a big market. Like, but people expect the formula, which I'll talk about. But I know exactly.
so
where you're
the
coming
2.1 that's lacking is all cinematography, or you didn't like the story?
Cinematography. No.
Cinematography.
No. I'd say that because, you know, the cinematography was good for what it was trying to accomplish. I'll talk more about that because I felt it was in that odd genre of like late 2000s
Yeah.
into 2010 where it's super contrasty and it's super.
Was just trying to get the old school vibe of.
But
No,
it
but
wasn't trying to do that.
It
That's
wasn't
the-
trying to do that?
No.
If you took like a
I mean, it had little moments where it was trying to be
if
cheeky
you
with the
took
documentary
a screenshot,
form.
if you took a screenshot and just like looked at the colors, you would think, oh, okay, they're trying to go for like a vintage photo. That's
Exactly.
kinda
Right,
worn
that's
out.
my
That's-
point. It
that's
was
what I
trying to
got.
be cheeky in moments with the vintage.
But then there's like scenes like they're in the hospital and it's like super harsh, like on
like-
them. Or
yeah,
like,
no,
you know,
okay.
it's just-
Before we get into that, Austin, this was obviously your choice. What was your rating and why? Why is this your choice?
Yeah, why is this an early choice?
What do you mean an
Early
early
choice?
choice?
Well, that's true. How many episodes are we in? How many movies have you picked?
Yeah,
about
we're like 30
Yeah, okay,
episodes
my
in.
bad.
I think we're. Anyways, what's up?
Timestamp that.
Timestamp that.
Well, to be honest, the reason I picked it was because after I first watched this film, I saw a lot of stuff that people were comparing it to Ford v Ferrari.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
That's what I was
But
expecting going
when Ford v Ferrari came out, and Ford v Ferrari was an Oscar picture.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff was like, well, Rush was a better picture than Ford v Ferrari, so why didn't Rush get it?
Was this not up for Oscars? I didn't even look at that. No, it
Nah,
wasn't at
it
all.
was-
no,
kinda
this,
like under the-
this
It
was
fell under the radar.
after, if I can remember correctly.
2013.
No, wasn't it
2013.
2013?
Mhm.
Because I remember it was like after the first Thor movie or like
The first Thor movie was like 09, 10. So
yeah,
this
and it was
definitely-
before the second Thor movie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was in that place where he was like, you know, doing a different project, but
He
still
lost
had
a shitload of weight for this too.
he
by
had
the
a
way.
lot of
Yeah, he seemed a little
clout.
bit more-
You know, he had a lot of clout coming from those films, so it was kind of like.
You would have thought. I mean,
There was
did
a-
it make money?
I think it was a lot of people watching it because of the actor, not so much, you know,
Oh,
like the fan
that's
base
interesting.
And all
That's
that.
Oh,
interesting.
that's true.
That's
It's
interesting.
like the whole
Yeah.
history of the
Yeah,
film.
because I think
Um,
also during the same period, didn't Downey do The Soloist? The one with
I feel like this was more his
Jamie
Sherlock
Foxx.
days. No, this is probably more his Sherlock days.
His was the
because
last
it
one.
was
Shadow.
kind of like after
No, the
they
first
did
one.
the first Avengers
made money.
films, and then they were coming into like different things to kind of show like
It
their prominence as
made
actors.
money. You
Like,
know-
oh, now you see me. Well, let's see what else I
It
can do.
made
Yeah,
money,
yeah,
but
kinda
it,
like when, Robert Pattinson.
Yeah,
trying to get away
yeah.
from the Twilight.
it primarily made money in the UK though. It it definitely didn't have a big American audience. But anyways, I mean, yeah, that's understandable. Like, so you watched it late. You didn't watch it when it first
I
came
watched
out.
it like in the past 6 months.
Oh wow, okay, that's interesting.
And you really.
And then
You
made
liked it better than
it-
Ford versus Ferrari?
Better than Ford v Ferrari, but it does have its holes in it.
Who did Ford v Ferrari? Who directed?
Oh man, I
I
watched.
feel like it was somebody similar. Was it Let's fact check that.
Yeah, that's
But-
that's your segment.
We have the intern on it.
Okay, well that's interesting. What
You
was
know,
what's your rating though?
I compare, they're
So
pretty on par, I guess.
Yeah, I'd put them in the
James
same
Mangold
category.
directed 40.
Mango, he did the 007 pictures, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh
Skyfall?
wow,
Yeah, no, not Skyfall. Maybe.
Souls?
Well, rating, I'd give it like an 8.3.
That is low for your
8.3.
pick.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
I was looking it up right now, and I mean, it did like that year for the Oscars. It was like Wolf of Wall Street. That was.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Ah, buddy.
So,
Dang,
E-
so
even Marty lost that year, so you know,
My
it
last
was a good
question-
year. That means it was a good year for Oscar.
My last question is why did you like it so much? Are you a Formula One guy or?
no, just you don't see many racing movies nowadays.
That's
and the
true.
way it was told.
and done successfully.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's true.
exactly what
That's a good
was
point.
done.
Dude, I can name like 5 off the top of my head.
All right,
Which
go.
one's name?
Recent.
Talladega
Nights?
Yeah.
But that's not a racing. That's not a racing film. It's a sports film. They not sports comedy.
You're saying drama. I mean,
Yeah.
that is a racing
Oh,
film,
okay,
but
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
comedy.
Well, what about that Tom Cruise Thunder?
Thunder Road.
Yeah.
Thunder Road. Thunder Road.
What was yeah? No, it's not
Tom
Thunder
Cruise
Road.
is in that. What are you talking about?
Not Thunder Road, but the race, the NASCAR one. There was a Thunder. There was a Tom Cruise. Anyway,
Top Gun, right? Yeah. And then he was.
okay. Wow.
I don't remember a Tom Cruise racing movie. What was this?
You wanna bet on it, Mr.
I
Mr.
believe you. I'm not a big
Encyclopedia?
Tom Cruise fan to begin with.
Yeah, it's
but-
called Thunder something.
The intern's heavy at work today.
Yeah,
Like,
clearly.
Anyway, but let's go to
Sweaty.
your rating.
All right, 8.3. 8.3.
You're gonna stick with that?
That's him. That's his.
No, too late. You already said his number.
I'm
He said-
repeating his
Ladies and
number.
gentlemen, please show that he said 8.3.
8.3.
Um,
Put it on the screen.
No, 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 no,
8.3,
no, but
8.3,
honestly,
8.3.
Dalal, you kind of stole my thunder. No, you.
Days of Thunder.
I never even heard of that.
Never heard of it.
Bomb?
What? It's actually a pretty good movie. Days of Thunder.
Oh, this is old. This is
We're
90s,
talking recent,
bitch.
Castro.
Alright, timestamp that.
Whatever.
I mean, hold on. Even if you wanted to count Talladega Nights, name another 4.
Oh, we already named
Two. He
Ford
named
versus
two. He
Ferrari.
named two.
Yes! Come
Wow.
on! It's in the comparison, right?
All right, all right. What else?
Kirby.
It's Herbie, you jackass.
Herbie fully loaded.
Fully loaded. See, somebody saw it.
All right, all right. No, look, I'm on the same boat as Alao, 100%. It's not my cup of tea.
What?
It's not my. Yep, there goes Austin leaving. It's not my cup of tea. I just sports films in general. That's why I had a big impact on, or the film The Way Back made a big impact on me. The Ben Affleck one.
Oh, the
Because
sports
I was
one,
like,
yeah.
oh man, this has a really good arc. This is more about the drama than it is about the sport. And most of the time, sports films make it more about the sport than it is about the drama. I will say this one was pretty like half and half on it.
Yeah,
It
balanced.
definitely was on
Yeah.
the you know. But in all fairness, I think Ron Howard tried to pull a Raging Bull in the sense that like he was like, I don't know anything about Formula One. I kind of want to make it because most people don't know anything about Formula One, and he succeeded in that regard. I learned a lot about Formula One just by watching this movie.
But I heard that the who's the one that played Nick Laura?
Daniel Bro.
He spent like weeks with the real one that he was asking so
Oh
many
yeah,
questions.
no, he did, and he even spent a lot of time
Went
with the
from, like-
dialect.
like
He
saving, like-
lived in because he was trying to get the accent right.
Exactly.
He lived in was it?
So you're trying to get all the details, like, all right, in
Oh,
this
he
scene, I'm
was-
gonna put the keys in the
yeah.
cars. Like, there's no keys in those cars. You just push it.
Dude, he's a good
Jesus.
actor. No. He's a good actor, and we'll talk about the performances right now. But I'm gonna go pretty low on this, but for the same reason. Just it just isn't my cup of tea. I mean,
Hey, what about the story wise? Beautiful ending.
I
Beautiful.
don't know, man. I felt like there was a lot of manipulations that we'll tear it apart right now. But
It's 'cause I'm a big a competitive guy, and I could relate to the ending that
The-
he
yeah, the-
knew that.
I
It's
was
not that this
sad
guy's
to see
better
that
than
he
me.
died. Wasn't surprised.
no. Look, I'm giving it a. I'm sticking to like a 7.1. Yeah, I mean
all
not.
sevens. Was it all
Yeah,
sevens?
no,
That's
not in
different.
the 8.3,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
9.3, 8.9,
7.9.
7.9, 7.1. Yeah, I'm a little less forgiving, but again, it has a market, it has its audience, and for it to be a sports film, it wasn't on the Disney side either. It wasn't
no.
Glory Road either. You know, it was somewhere between Glory Road and The Way Back for me.
Okay.
It was somewhere
I
in
wanted
between.
to-
You know, on the sports film.
You know, I
The
watched-
Glory Road is good.
What about the whole road to the redemption?
Meet
Like,
me outside.
This.
yeah, he got all burned up, and he still won a couple more.
care, man.
25
you-
playground, be there.
Don't you, but wait. Be honest. And you guys are more sports guys than we are. don't you expect that from a sports film? You expect him to fall off the horse and then get back on it.
I
Isn't that the whole
expect, yeah,
thing?
no, yeah, for
Isn't
sure.
that the formula?
Yeah, the whole formula for like especially a racing like
Yeah.
Formula One, it's always like, you know, there's always a rivalry and
What was
tense
it? What
ones
was
are in
the
this
average?
corner,
The
this
average
corner.
was
Except
like.
for the bad ones.
But the cool thing about this one is that
no, the formula's the same for every sports film, dude. It is. And
no, the cool thing about this one is that there's no bad guy.
right.
Even though you think the Playboy is he's the whatever.
No. But what
they're
I'm talking
both
about,
feeding off each other.
yeah. Well, that's
You got the wild card, and then you got the guy that's very precise, trying to.
I didn't care.
Wow,
Like, well, look. I like sports films that genuinely break the formula. The way back was formulaic, but it broke it a little bit. Something like $1 Million Baby. $1 Million Baby's a sports film.
What about-
by definition, it's a sports film.
Okay, let me
but
see-
it broke the formula.
Let me see where you're at.
Yeah.
What do you think about Remember the Titans?
I don't think I saw it. Right? I think it's
Ah,
one of those
see,
things.
we're in
Plus,
two
wasn't
different
that another
planets right now.
Disney one?
So,
We're in
Remember
two
the
different
Titans is a fucking Disney film.
Yeah, it's a Disney film, isn't it? It's completely formulaic.
No, it's not.
Yes,
man.
it is. This is
It's-
the one with Ryan
it's a
Gosling,
racial
right? I've seen
issues,
scenes. It's the
yes.
one with Ryan Gosling, right? I've
It's
seen scenes
racial
of it.
issues. Huh?
No.
The
No,
Big Green,
just-
you know,
Shut
broke
up,
Big
boundaries.
Green.
Huh?
Dory's over
It's
there, guys,
that
so you
one
can leave.
soccer kid
I
film.
freaking go off road now.
Made by Disney.
You've seen
My bad.
Look,
The one
man.
that you
I
had
want no,
watched
wait.
recently With Diego Luna and I always forget the other
Oh,
name.
Rudy Cursi.
Yes.
That broke the formula.
But that was a film.
But it
mainly
broke
based
the
on
formula.
sport.
But
Oh, soccer?
no, it's based on the brothers. It's more about the brothers than it is about soccer.
But that's the thing, though.
That's
It's
how you interpret it.
Exactly.
Well,
It's
Sure,
the world of
sure.
soccer.
Here's
Well, okay, look.
Yeah.
Here's,
We
I
got
want
him,
you- I
boys.
want
We
you guys
got him,
to-
boys.
I want you guys to change my mind on one thing. This is honestly, if you've seen one sports film, you've seen them all. Like,
Negative.
Nah, you're one of
no,
those guys.
no,
man.
it's-
You
it
gotta
really
see the
is.
differences,
What
man.
differences?
Well, the details. You think of the formula, but the
Yeah,
details.
that's all you
Well,
want to
that's
see is just the
unfair.
formula. All you're focusing on is the actual
The formula, like, oh,
film and not
okay,
the
yeah,
story.
No,
this
not
guy
on
won
this.
and this guy
I
didn't.
told
no,
you.
I think you know what it is. I think he's focusing on it from a like
From the drama
script-
perspective.
No, from a script writing perspective.
yeah.
Because I think when you're describing the formula, it's not that it's the same story, but it's the same arc. You know, and it's not.
What's the same arc? One guy wins and the other one doesn't.
Look, it's either an
There's-
underdog story. It's he starts at the bottom, now he's here.
or he
Drake,
starts
right?
at the top, but then he gets knocked
Or
out.
yeah, he's the right.
But
Dude,
that wasn't it.
Let me give you this. Let me give you this. Let me throw this at you.
That cross each other's paths.
Cars, Pixar's Cars had a better arc than this.
This guy bringing up an
no,
animation.
no.
Get outta
This is
here.
we're talking about story and
Hey,
script, right?
That's another one of your car films.
Yeah, there you go. Put
Hey,
throw that in the
bam,
file.
bam.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this episode of the WatchTower
No, wait.
podcast. We're
Let's
about
get
to
into
fight.
everything.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
genuinely have a lot of questions. And again, I told Austin when I first screened it, he was like, "What'd you think?" And I was like, "I want all my all my questions answered in the sports world." And
Yeah, because that's how I'm
Oscar, your
answering it.
opinion's unvalidated now. Just
I'm sure it is, but
No, but that's pretty true what he's trying to say. I'm answering it like because I'm a sports guy.
Right.
So yeah, I
Because it
hear what
doesn't
you're
matter
saying.
if you love football and then you turn around on
But that's
another,
why- that's why it got me
the
so-
competitiveness
Exactly
of the sport.
And exactly, and then because I've been
I'm
in
not
that.
drawn to that. I'm not drawn to it.
See, that's why I thought it was.
I'm not
beautiful.
drawn to the
Yeah,
competitiveness
I-
of sport. It
Because
doesn't
the
do
whole-
anything for me.
Goon.
Goon.
That one's pretty good. The hockey one.
Coming
Yeah,
soon.
I like
But Goon
Goon.
focuses on the sport, but yet you still love that film for the story.
Look. I liked it when I saw it. I didn't say it's like the best sports film or anything
No,
like
but
that.
you're asking
like
about
I said,
what happened there. You're
you've
saying
seen
every
one.
sports film follows the same.
Little Giants.
Why are sport?
He's
Why
never
are,
seen Little Giants.
No
I've never seen
way.
it.
Got a little
Why are comedy?
Wow.
No. Why are comedy sports films so funny? Because there's a formula that you can make fun of.
You're attacking one
Nah,
specific
Remember
one,
the
though.
Titans was not funny.
That's not a comedy film. That's what I mean. Talladega Nights. Why is it funny?
Blades of Glory.
Blades of Glory. Why is it funny?
Will
Because
Ferrell.
you can attack
Will
the formula.
Ferrell.
Which one?
Will
no,
Ferrell.
because you can attack the formula very
Dodgeball.
easily.
Yeah.
Dodgeball.
Okay,
Sports
but we're
film.
talking about we're talking about Rush and Rush.
Right.
Yeah,
Look,
we're
I
going
want
away
to
from the
start.
film.
I kind of want to start backwards here.
Okay.
Talk about the cinematography because that's I had the most problem in the cinematography and in a couple of the arts.
Yeah, I wanna hear
Those
this,
were
like,
my
how-
biggest problems with this film. But
how do
let's
you
talk
criticize-
about the cinematography a little bit.
Okay, so I we talked a little bit about how it was trying to go for a very vintage aesthetic, and it's that whole thing of it's
the way-
based on a true story.
Remember, we're talking about cars, so it's got that gritty, old school
Okay,
vintage.
but here's the issue I had, and I had the same issue when we watched what is it, Death Sentence. There's a difference.
Yeah, dude.
There's a
Oh,
difference between
Wayne.
motivated like lighting and aesthetics and unmotivated.
I might have to take my
Elaborate.
Word, I might have to take my word back on the cinematography just because of who did it, just on general principle.
See, oh,
no,
that's so biased.
No, I know.
Get
I'm an
out of
asshole,
here.
but it's Anthony Dodd Mantle.
Oh, shit, what else
He's
did he
done
do?
Danny Boyle's guy. He's the Slumdog Millionaire guy.
Oh,
he's
shit.
the Dogma 95 guy.
no, like because there's
But I'm still shitting on this.
Elaborate.
there's
yeah.
a style that
So you think they just slapped a filter like to
No.
all
I
the
do.
clips?
I
You know
do
what?
in a
No,
lot of the scenes. I will get
there's
there.
a lot of films
They
in
captured
like that
that.
kind of I want to say from like 2008 to maybe 2014
12,
ish, 13 where they would just slap on these very heavy filters
Yeah.
and they were trying to like basically put you in a mood.
They were
and a
going for
tone.
spectacle. They were going for
Yeah.
spectacle, not for
Where, like,
character
when
trait.
you watch it
know?
in a theater, I mean, it's not like, oh, I'm watching any other film. It's like, whoa, this is different,
and,
you know?
and that
it
might be
sticks with you,
that
right?
might
Yeah.
be that might be catered to the fact that superhero films are blowing up, and you had to compete with these spectacles of a film, so you got to make it look prettier. And maybe that they thought, well, if we slap some filters on this or we throw this type of lighting at it, it's gonna compete with the CG of what these superheroes are.
I definitely don't want to like degrade it down and call it a filter because there's definitely
Well,
colorists that went
I
in
know.
there, and the intention was that they wanted to give it this very vintage, looking at an old photograph, seeing this kind of like grain and contrast. There's people who like go and just like study the color science of each of the classic like film profiles, and they're trying to match that.
I mean, I don't know if it was Howard
And you don't think they pull it off?
or Dodd Mantle, but
you know what? I like a film that can understand a scene and know how to give it justice in the cinematography. And if you want to really break it down to a science,
half of the film did that. Half of it.
the racing half,
The racing, the car
the
stuff was
punchy
shot
half.
beautifully.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Because
The
all
drama
that stuff-
parts were shit, dude.
Yes.
They were shitty. The cinematography was bad in
because
the drama
it
parts.
it didn't separate
the whole
itself.
hospital scene.
That was the worst part.
There's
oh
no
my
lighting
god!
'cause he's-
Why is it
he's-
green? Why is the entire scene green and muddled? I don't. It looks like a. It looks like a hospital
Like I said,
Juarez.
it's
just-
going.
Because it's the
going for a-
40s?
Yes, you think it was
what do
green
you want?
in the 1940s?
Everybody saw green, just like with old black and white films. Is that how they saw
No,
it?
but they would have these crisp white dental.
No, but that's not the thing. They're going for this.
But,
vintage
okay, fine.
film.
It's gritty.
But
It's
why-
a race car.
why
you
is
think
the
they're gonna put him in a
it's-
nice hospital?
no,
He's
okay.
But why is the hospital shot that way, but the house isn't?
Well, what part of the house?
Any
Okay.
part of the house.
No, okay.
The house
In
is like
favor of
super
it.
blue
Damn, I
and
didn't really
cold,
notice that.
and I mean, I'm really curious. Why green? That was one of the most troubling scenes I had. Why green?
'Cause he's going
Why a
through it.
muddled composition?
Because he's going through an experience.
What does green have to green?
It's
Green
kinda
usually
like,
means
it's a dull color. It's one of those things where
no,
he's
but
going,
green usually means envy or
Okay.
success or
No,
like
Beautiful.
new
Like
I
spring.
said,
Envy.
It's that
Perfect.
whole vintage.
he's envying the guy. The guy.
film.
I mean, maybe.
Like I said, it's the whole vintage film profile look.
Right.
It's
We're yelling too much, huh?
It's giving it date, you know. Like I feel like that's what most of the color did. It gave it kind of like this date. It gave it this kind of like vintage feel. But
Did it look like an old photograph? It didn't to me. It just looked muddled.
I'm gonna drop the mic on these guys.
In some like, if
Have you ever guys been in that situation? You don't know if you see green. That's probably what it
In
did.
your surgeries,
I'm that
did you see
guy.
green? Is that what it is?
I saw a lot of colors, right?
Okay, the other camera thing I had an issue with. I mean, this isn't. It's gonna be back and forth on it, right? But why are we going for these pop zooms? These pop documentary zooms. If you're not gonna be consistent throughout the whole film to do that, you had the Office zooms going on in random moments, and it just bugged the hell out of me. And you didn't have it for the whole film, and I have a feeling that they were trying to do it just to introduce the characters, but it bugs me. You didn't need to do it. You mostly see it like in the beginning when like the first race that Hemsworth's character is coming in. We see these pop. They're not Tarantino
It's-
pop zooms, but they're these
So you don't like,
I mean,
you don't
that's
like a
the
little
issues.
hint of something?
No, that's the issue.
hint
I
of
had
what?
with
It was shaky
cinematography
cam
where-
with pop zooms. Why?
Because back then they're trying to get the vibe from back then. I think have
But
you
it
seen-
was
have you seen-
shot in 6K. Like,
have
who
you
cares?
seen the real footage of those two interacting with each
Yeah.
other? It's got that shaky zoom
Because
in.
news cameras were taking care of that. But if you're gonna
It's
do
pri-
that, why aren't you doing it for the whole film?
Yeah, little sparkle in there, man. Little hint of it.
Maybe. I don't know.
It just to me, there were parts of the cinematography that didn't feel like you said, it went throughout the whole film. Like
it was just inconsistent,
Yeah.
and it just didn't feel intentional. And if it was trying to feel intentional for certain moments, I'd like to know why. The general audience,
Jesus, God, you guys are picky.
the general
I
audience
love it.
is,
That's what
is
makes
not
it good.
gonna give a shit, right? The genuine, Sandra, for instance, she always says, "I'm just a general audience member." They're not gonna pay attention to that, and it's not gonna make them do anything. So for somebody who's gonna analyze the film, why?
Is it just me, or did this one feel like it was trying to artistically?
There's plenty of reasons for the green, dude.
No, but
Plenty.
no, but it feels like the film's trying to like artistically define itself.
in scenes,
To-
per scenes, or
But
per
yeah,
What are you guys
but just
talking
to be
about?
It's just to be like a popcorn flick.
Yeah,
like,
but
like
it doesn't know what it
yeah.
wants to be. But it doesn't know what it wants to be.
I was
if you're gonna give me a
intrigued.
popcorn
Because you know
flick,
what
give me a
it's done?
popcorn
You know what
flick.
it's done?
It tricked me from, I guess, in the middle, from the car crash. That's when you get the whole arc right
You know
there.
what's
That's
crazy?
beautiful. You're
You
talking
could
about the
jump
green.
in
He's looking at the
any
guy that
scene.
he's trying to beat on while he's trying to recover.
That's fair. That's fair.
Any scene,
yeah.
you could pause it, and like if somebody walked in on you randomly, they're like, "Oh, okay, it's an action film. Somebody's gonna get shot."
Right,
Like,
No.
right. That's
No.
exactly it.
gives
No,
you
you gotta
that
know what's going on in the
aesthetic and
story,
style.
and the story's
No, but that's the
beautiful.
point. That's his whole thing, right?
It-
Like
it's
the
meant to, like-
cinematographers will, and correct me if I'm wrong here.
Yeah.
Cinematographers will base themselves on that. There's a whole thing on, if Hitchcock had this whole thing on, if you watch the entire film on mute, it's still gonna tell a story, right? So cinematographers tend to literally, I'm gonna pause every frame, and what intention does this frame have for me? And I'm not
get
saying
it, I
everybody's
get it,
like
I
that.
get
I'm
it.
just saying cinematographers pay attention to that. So as a cinematographer, if you walk in the middle of the film and you pause it and it's like, oh, he's watching a Hemsworth action flick. He's watching Red Dawn or whatever the fucking film is called, right? Red Point or Red Dawn.
Red Dawn.
Right? He's watching Red Dawn. All right, I get it. And then you pause it at another moment and
Because if you think
we're
of it-
watching
if you
Dallas
think of it
Buyers
that
Club
way,
with these
Castro.
two.
If you think of it that way, every scene really does give you that grit. It gives you that kind of punch.
We're not
it
arguing
gives you
that.
It gives you this
That's
color
where I get
of
lost.
like
I got
it's-
lost in that.
It's edgy.
Okay.
I didn't
Yeah,
notice
but,
anything like that.
Like the issue I had with like Death Sentence is that there's a time and a place when you wanted to shift away from that. That way, if you bounce back to that aesthetic and style for the racing scenes, they come across a lot punchier.
And
Why
part
don't we
of-
soften it? Why don't we dial that back a little bit during
'Cause
certain scenes?
okay, I
You
know
can't-
what you're
and you
saying,
can't
but you guys
completely-
are going away from what the film was trying to do.
But no. But that's what
They're going against historical figures, and they're trying to pull off like, hey, you're watching it back then.
You ever see Jackie? It's about Jackie Kennedy
With
with
Natalie.
Natalie Portman.
No, I've seen the trailer.
The cinematography in that did the same, tried to accomplish the same thing. I'm not gonna say tried. It accomplished what it was trying to do.
Man.
It's shot in these old styles, cinema verite, camera in the room, fly on the wall,
Like you're back in that time.
like you're back in that
watching a
time.
camera
But
that only shoots like that.
every single shot was intentional. Every single shot.
Intentional, man.
Intentional.
That's the
big thing. That's
how
the
do
big
you
thing
know
I
it's
picked
not
on
a
with
bigger
cinematography.
picture, bigger picture intent and then a detailed.
But that's the point. That's what we're trying to argue
When-
here. Is it a popcorn flick in your intention, or are you trying to be dramatic?
I think
Very few people can blend both, and the odd thing here is that Ron Howard is one of the few that can blend both. Usually,
So
I don't
come back
feel like
to
he
your
did in
your
this.
cinematography redacting it.
It didn't feel intentional in
No,
the
but you said that you just saw who did it, and you wanna.
Jackie in the film, or what are you
No,
talking
you
about?
said that you saw the cinematographer who did this.
Yeah, and you kind of want.
Anthony Dodd Mantle has successfully done that in so many other pictures.
You know
So
what's
you
crazy?
said that you now like it.
No. What I'm saying is, it's almost never just the cinematographer's fault. Ron Howard has a lot to do with the direction of what this film
True.
is going to look like,
True.
obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
So Ron Howard, I mean, for me, Ron Howard is hit or miss. You see something like Solo versus something like the Da Vinci Code, what are you gonna pick, right? The Da Vinci Code, in its trilogy, is pretty damn good. It's shot very well. The shots are intentional. It builds the suspense. It builds the moments of history and how we analyze these scenes.
The first one, right? Not the Demons
Well,
versus
I
Angels.
thought the trilogy
If
was
you're
pretty strong.
jumping-
I don't
If
know.
you're jumping into something that's like action racing, and you're thinking like, okay, well, what do I want?
I have no complaints about
the
that.
film to look like if it was supposed to be racing. It's edgy. There's this adrenaline everywhere.
Back then?
Yeah.
Like then then
Like-
you'll put this. That's why you guys are using the term filter instead of color grading. It's that
Right.
you're
But that's how you guys.
Right,
That's what
right.
you guys.
filtering over everything, and
No,
there's
I see what
but
you're
that's
saying.
the point. I can't blame it on everything because it wasn't consistent. The shots on the countryside, on the what was it, the Italian countryside, the whole Ferrari thing, That whole thing where he gets to the party
Yeah.
and then he's like, "Fuck this, I'm leaving," and then he meets the girl and they
Yeah.
drive together.
Give him
I
a
love
ride.
that scene.
Yeah.
That was shot beautifully. The daylight was where it needed to be. The car composition was where it needed to be. The smoke coming out into the air was where it needed to be.
There's separation.
It was all intentional.
Damn,
It was
I don't
all
notice
on
all that.
purpose.
You know, because look at films
Yeah.
like I know that you have issues with the story, but look at the cinematography for like a film like Joker. You know,
Yeah, it's all consistent.
Even though
It's all
Joker,
filtery.
Yeah, you would
Yeah,
call,
but
it's all
you don't-
consistent,
You
but
don't
it's
call
all
it a
consistent.
filter, but you don't call it a
what you're
filter
saying.
because
I see what you're
it
saying.
knows how to be bright and vibrant at certain points. It knows how to mute itself and dial back.
And
you know.
it uses color as its bitch.
And there's,
right?
there's
Like,
these
it's,
films. It's 2008, 2013. You know, where
It
they
is-
just,
you're right.
The filters are just constant.
It was an era. It's
This-
super
this-
punchy.
Yeah, it's super punchy, and that's like an aesthetic. I think it's like
Yeah.
the color science developed, and they were like, let's get more experimental. So really, if you think about it, they were able to accomplish a certain look that whenever you jump into the film, you know you're watching this kind of action, high intensity, high contrast film. But does that work always? Is that something that's going
Well,
to be winning awards for cinematography?
And what I
No,
mean,
you know?
and what I mean by intention is, you watch something like The Joker. You walk in the middle of a frame. You're not watching a superhero film.
No.
It's completely intentional for what it was trying to approach.
And then there's
you know?
different things.
I get it. I feel you guys.
However,
The way I ran
it's
through it.
I guess what bums me about learning that it was Anthony Dodd Mantle is you see his other work. I mean, the guy's won at least 2 cinematography Academy Awards. One of
how
them
you
for
sound?
Slumdog Millionaire, which was super innovative in its camera movement, for one, because Slumdog, that was when they first came out with these little block cameras that we use now, like the Reds and like the Black Magics. That was when they first came out with these things, and I remember him talking about, for some of the scenes in Slumdog Millionaire, they were literally carrying Macs on backpacks and little webcam type cameras
Uh-huh.
and running around with the kids in the streets. That's what they were doing, like innovating cinematography with purpose, right? You're in the streets of India and it's very lively and these kids are running around and you want to capture that.
Yeah, he does that beautifully. In
You know,
Slumdog.
but they did, why, that was all intentional. Even the scenes where like Dev Patel's character is being tortured, or it's all consistent and intentional, and he did that beautifully, and he obviously won an Academy
you know
Award
what's
for it.
interesting?
I didn't get any of that here.
I was listening
you know?
to.
I
I don't know if you guys follow Corridor Crew. It's like a YouTube channel. They do a lot of like SFX and stuff like that.
Corridor Crew.
But they
I should.
they bring on different special effects artists or different people who have done like special effects, and
Yeah.
and they review clips and kind of break down like what they noticed and all that. They just recently had Seth Rogen come on,
Uh-huh.
and Seth Rogen was talking about how if you have films with like a $5 million budget that
Uh-huh.
have special effects and get the same artist, but then throw them in a film that only has like a $400,000 budget,
Right.
and then do SFX, it doesn't matter that it's the same guy. It's the fact that the budget's less. It's gonna show in the
Yeah,
film.
Oh yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. I get
So-
that.
So
This,
if this
film though was at least a $30 million film. It made 60. It overall grossed 90 mil or 60 mil in the box office. So
I just feel like a lot had to go towards like the
everything that
racing
required
stuff.
everything that required a budget for it, they pulled off successfully.
Okay.
There's
But
a lot-
the dramatic factors of the arc. I mean, dude, if something doesn't feel right in the arc, let me give you an example. And this is where we'll kind of transition into directing, I
Yeah.
think, right? I told Austin one of the biggest problems I had in this film is the moment with Daniel Bruhl's character at the end, where he's finally like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna let him have it. I'm out. Deuces."
When he
You know?
goes back in and he
When
gets out of the car.
Yeah.
Okay.
He gets out of the car, he pulls in, he takes off with the chick, right? The meet cute with the chick, the meet cute with his future wife, was so good. And I thought it was wasted on an arc.
Yeah.
The relationship between him and his wife, I didn't give a shit for. And it's one of the, if not the most important, one of the most important arcs in the film. Is the whole relationship and dynamic between him and his wife.
I
They
thought it was Olivia Wilde.
Wow,
Yeah.
they looked like they hated each other, and they were supposed to feel the most romantic out of
Yeah,
the
I kinda
entire
got that.
relationship.
I
And
kinda
that's
got that.
again, that's a directing theme. That's Ron Howard not doing his job correctly to a certain degree. But it just bugged me so much that, and a lot of the cinematography contributed to that. When we're shooting in their homes, the colors aren't warm. It's not. It's all cold. It's all abandoned. It feels like she's against him for wanting
which
to go
is
back
edgy and good for an action film.
for an action thing, but for a drama scene where we're supposed to feel like she's rooting for him, it felt like she was against him the whole time.
Hey, Austin, you want to help me out over here? What's going on?
I just felt like that's the arc that bugged me the most. You're right. The main arc of this film is between them two and the competitiveness and the brotherhood. You know.
Yeah, and also like the relationship.
But it
too.
bugged the hell out of me that the meet cute was such a good meet cute and it was wasted. They didn't even kiss, dude. Like at the end, like this moment where we're supposed to like, there was nothing. I didn't feel anything for it. And then we opened the film with this chick, the redhead, the nurse, right? And we think, oh, she's gonna be a major character in the film.
Yeah.
We never fucking see her again.
That's true.
Like, there's just these
Was
character
the one that
arc
James
moments.
Hunt that they told her? Yeah, she was also dating James Hunt. You know that, right? Was that her?
No. That's Wild's character, isn't it?
No.
That's not the nurse.
The front desk lady. I think that was.
No, I think it's a different character. This is Nursey. They call her Nursey because she like bandaged him up and shit when this.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We never see her again. I just a lot of these arcs
To go
bug me
into a
little
story
bit.
directing front and to also kind of talk about the positives of the film.
I got a lot.
For the sports part, I mean, you know, you as a writer director, what do you think are some of those challenges that were accomplished in the film? Of it kind of capturing those moments, because like I said, for the moments that it did capture, it really does take you into that world, and you noticed it with the editing, where it's kind of like it's fast paced. There's a lot going
the perspective,
on.
from the car.
Yeah, so
from
like,
hospital.
what's the challenges that you would have going from like, let's say something that's a little more subtle, drama front to this?
The issues is that with something this big of caliber of a picture, it's part of the reason on why I don't think I'd be a successful director in something like Marvel, because you either pay attention to the plot or you pay attention to the character. There's very few ways that you can blend them both, and in this particular scenario, you get the character arcs get lost in the plot. And I'd argue that this is more of a plot film than it is a character film until we get to the end.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
there's
Okay, I was
this
gonna say
big
that. Yeah.
moment, right. Where there's a big reveal on
My favorite.
And again, it warms your heart. It's like, oh shit, okay, we get it. But
But okay, I'll give you my
there's
deeper meaning to that.
I don't know. It just felt like these two characters are going on their own paths, crossing in between and fighting each other about the whole way. And then on the final cross that we see them in, it's like, oh, they get along. They're buddies. This whole thing is a friendly thing.
It's
not so
like
much.
They're rooting for each other.
But not in the way that you're thinking.
What way?
Just like in the end when he's in the airplane.
Yeah.
And he finally sees them. To me, because I'm a sports guy, the rivalry of... everybody has that. I've had that, where somebody's better than you.
Yeah.
But it's not because they're working harder than you. It's because, and this is what he realizes, that he's just one of those guys that's just good.
That's just good
he's
at it.
living life at the
That's
fullest.
fair.
Died at 45 of a heart
Okay, so
attack.
somebody like...
that was the deep meaning to me that, damn, dude, like, sometimes you just gotta... You meet people like that.
No, 'cause
so
I mean,
somebody like if you modernize it for me, right? If you put somebody like Kobe and LeBron together, right? They're in their primes. They were competing against each other, right? So did they have that conversation in the locker room at some point? You know what I mean? Like, did they like, hey yo, I'm watching you, or like,
I bet you they did, but
you know,
I don't know, man. I saw it. I saw it for the rivalry of they were getting the best out of each other.
and that's fine. If that's
It was like yin and yang, right?
that's
You got the
fine.
Playboy and the-
If that, but I guess what I'm arguing is on the directing front, or maybe on the writing front.
That's why I fell in love with it.
Maybe on the writing front is if it was trying to do that,
It's like
it didn't succeed as a whole. It succeeded in excerpts, and when it does that,
these big words, man. You're
it
making me feel.
succeeded in little sequences of the film. Movie. It succeeded only in certain scenes. It didn't succeed as a whole. If the whole point was, it was always about the rivalry and the back and forth.
Yeah, all the way from the car crash, all the way from.
But that's half the film.
all the way
That's half the film.
Yeah, but all the way
At
from
least half the film.
Okay,
That's
what
2/3 of the film.
Yeah, but it's this guy that, the rivalry that I'm gonna take out this loan. Nobody, I'm gonna buy my own my own team.
By the way, do you really root for that guy? Do you really root for that douchebag that has money and or doesn't? I mean, he comes from money, but
James Hunt.
no, Daniel's character.
No, doesn't he get a loan?
Well, yeah, but he comes from daddy. Daddy says no.
Oh, that's
I'm
true.
gonna disown you.
Yeah.
But do you root for the guy that bought his way in? That's the whole arc with him too, right? Do you
It's
root
not
for the
that
guy
he bought his way in.
That's how everybody else sees him, and the audience is
Yeah,
kind of like
that is true.
That's how the audience is like. Well, do I believe them or do I believe him? That's more the seat I was sitting on. Like, well, did he buy his way in or is he trying to prove himself?
That's a good one.
That's my point. Is like it.
Because I don't think like he bought his way in. He just found a way to get in. Like it's not buying. It's just like because he was really about the mechanics.
Yeah.
So it's like okay, I'm not gonna be in this team that they're telling me what to drive. I'm gonna buy.
No, don't
this
get me
team,
wrong.
And I'm gonna tell him what to put,
It does come across
how much to weigh the car.
It does come across that he loves the sport.
Exactly.
It does
He's
come
very
across that he loves the sport.
very
But it's like
very numbers guy, whereas James Hunt isn't.
it's weird, dude. It's weird. It's so weird because this is the guy that buys his way in.
That's what I liked about the story.
This is the guy that buys his way in. But
competition of it.
technically, the pretty boy is the gritty guy who came up from the ground up. Doesn't that bug you a little bit? Like
You're talking about Nicky Lara? He's the greedy guy?
no, Nicky Lara is the guy that bought his way in, right?
Not about his way
Well,
in.
fine,
He did it
fine.
his
He's
way.
the guy that did it his way to get to the top at a very fast pace. Hemsworth's character is the guy that started from the bottom, and he's the pretty boy in the film.
I like both of them. I don't think there was no bad
No,
guys.
man, it just feels
I
like-
root for both of them.
Maybe that's where it breaks the formula, right? Like not having these typical.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's not
maybe,
so familiar
maybe.
because you're rooting for both of them.
It just in that sense, I just feel like Howard. It felt like Howard got so lost in the size of the production that he didn't know which way he was going to go anymore. And I think that
crazy now,
that
man.
comes across clearly in the film for me. Like we don't know what direction we're heading in as a piece, as a story, as a
It's
film.
a rivalry of two F1 drivers
Uh-huh.
that one just doesn't seem to get that this guy is just one of those
That's
guys
the
that's just good.
synopsis.
He's living-
That's the synopsis. We're talking the full scope of the story. What does that do for us? Like when we're going
Isn't
on a
it,
journey,
isn't it your typical racing, like one wins and one doesn't?
yeah.
This guy, you would think that James Hunt won, but this guy still came back.
So, but
That's the
is
real story.
that the message we're trying to walk away with? Well,
The
if
message
you-
I walked away
if you
is
don't
that-
care as much at the end, you win anyways.
Oh my
Nah.
Like, I mean, I don't know.
No, it wasn't that he didn't care, dude. It was just like, yo, this guy's just better than me.
He just seemed more mature. He matured through
That's
that.
a tough pill to swallow, and I think that's what they gave us.
Okay, so then
As a competitive guy, that's
fine. That's fine. If we analyze it that
story
way.
wise.
Story-wise, if we analyze it that way,
I feel like we're
was that
ranting a lot.
was that a happy ending?
Yeah, dude.
It was a happy ending.
Oh, dude, for me, it was one of those things where it's like, you get the whole James Hunt, going towards the girl in the plane.
Mm.
Like, this guy's living the life to the fullest. Then we get he died at 45 of a heart attack.
Yeah.
And you get this guy over the guy that he's just like, it's not that I didn't practice hard enough. It's this guy was just that
He was
wow,
just a
living
good
to
guy.
the fullest.
Yeah.
You don't get that in
I'm
stories.
not arguing that. But you only get that in the last 10 minutes of the film.
I see what you're saying there.
We don't see any of it.
I
mean, not
see
any
it,
of
man.
it.
The
We
car
see it
crash, the
sprinkled.
recovery, and then when
We
you
just-
sign
But
up-
that's his
you get
arc.
the
We don't see it streamlined, is what you're
Yeah,
trying to say.
we don't see it. That's Bro's arc. That's not the story. That's his arc. That's his story arc.
I mean,
that's his character arc.
it's so heavy on the nose at the end. Just like, I guess it really was our rivalry that made us better. I'm so glad we have this love-hate
man,
friendship.
you guys are not seeing the dangers of what F1
No,
was.
But
we
that's
are,
the thing.
we
That's
are.
the thing.
Well, you're saying it like
That's why I didn't
I
start-
just gave up.
If
No,
you're,
those
no,
are-
no,
That's
no.
why the
but
film
if you're-
didn't score a zero
if you're
for me,
bringing it
because
up-
it really did
Right.
bring you into that world,
When you're bringing that up, I'm curious. If you're bringing that up, then what was this? A post-Vietnam? We made it out, bro. We succeeded.
No.
We didn't die. What
No,
was it
no,
like?
see?
2 drivers die every year, right? That was the whole thing, the whole statistic.
No, it was just a great experience of like, dude, it took me this long enough to realize that this guy is one of a kind. I was good at my profession, but then I met this guy that was just.
But that's the thing, though.
That's not formulaic.
That's-
But
That
if that's
connects
the
with
arc,
everybody.
no. But if
That
that's
connects
the
with
arc,
everybody.
if that's the arc, if that's the arc of the story,
if you never met somebody like
That
that somebody's
fucker
better, you need to meet
if
somebody
that's
that
the arc of
will
the
humble
story-
you and push you.
but if that's the arc of the story, they should have made Bro's character, Lara or whatever. They should have made him the guy that worked his whole life, only to be upstaged by the guy
No,
that
see,
came in later.
You're stuck on that.
No, but
You're
that should have been the
stuck on
arc.
that.
If you're gonna pull, hey, well,
This guy was doing the whole Formula One until
Uh-huh.
he said that his team sucked. You're saying that he bought his way in. No, he just made it the way he wanted to do it because he was just such a numbers guy.
this is the last thing I'm gonna. Like,
Yeah.
No. This is the last thing. I just want to point out the line that's bothering me about your
Bothered
argument.
me that he bought his way in. There's no, way.
Well, yeah, sure, but what's bothering me is like it would have been more impactful to me for somebody like Nicky Lara's character to be the guy that worked hard his whole life and has been training since he was a teenager to be a good Formula One chart, and then he's upstaged by the guy that just came in and is good at it.
But that's formulaic.
But to be fair,
Oh!
Cars 3. But to be fair, but to be fair,
Kill the audio.
we
My bad.
I know, right? We get that a little more from, in all fairness to like their points, Hemsworth's character, Hunt's character,
He's lost. He's just
was first. He was in the game first. He had been training his whole life to do this. Of course he's going to be good. So how does he come in on top of the guy that's already good and is better? He's been training his whole life for it. That's what's bugging me about the inconsistencies of like, well,
Carlos,
I don't know. I'm just
So you're saying
it's
that
on
Nick?
a true story. We can't.
well, that's
change
true.
that.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good
I
point.
could keep going on and on, but I know this is.
The editing, Austin. Castro got lost in it. He says it was great. Was this a
From
an
the
edit
cart.
you see, an edit you don't see, somewhere in between? Does it matter? Does it not matter? What you know?
Were
how
you
was-
high?
Not on this one. Last one I was.
Is he high?
No, I asked, was he high when he watched?
Oh, was you?
No, no, man. It just really got me.
Color.
It was.
Screw you.
For real?
Yeah, there was nothing special about this.
You don't like the fast
On the
cuts?
editing front.
If anything, it
Like
did,
the-
a,
Who
good,
edited
it
this?
did a decent job of telling both stories, but there was nothing special that blew you away about it.
I mean, you know, it knew
His
how to make
editing
the
in and of
action
itself.
scenes feel actiony. You know.
I
Oh
thought
man,
it was.
they had two editors.
Oh, for real.
Two editors. Daniel Hanley, who did like Frost Nixon, Apollo 13, A Beautiful Mind, Inferno. He's Howard's guy. He's Ron Howard's guy.
This is information coming from our intern.
Yeah, and then Mike Hill.
Thank you.
They're both Howard's guys. He always works with two DPs. That's unnerving.
What I'm saying
I'd
about
shoot
the editing,
myself.
it's.
I mean,
Since
two
it's a
editors, sorry, not two
2013,
DPs.
you don't see that fast cutting. You know, first perspective, the first view perspective of in the
He
car.
just likes all the fast tit scenes.
No, I think
but
it was
we're not
crafted
arguing
beautifully.
that
It
though.
was crafted beautifully.
We're not arguing that though.
The tit
All the
scenes?
race stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we never argue the
All the
tit
race
scenes, that's
stuff
fine.
was great. It pulled
Yeah,
it
so
off.
you guys saying you're saying
Yeah,
like
but
the
fine.
that's to come with this type.
On
of
the
film.
editing front, that was edited
Which
beautiful.
again goes into the idea that that's like a market where
It's a popcorn
yeah,
thing to do.
Yeah, you can't
Exactly.
always edit a film like that. I mean, you know, it's
Yep.
something that you got to understand how that's going to be paced out, especially
Exactly,
for
that's-
keeping the excitement
I'm actually
in.
agreeing with them all on
Exactly.
this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for that general audience member,
Yeah.
you know.
But on the
You had to
drama
sneak
front,
that in.
usually I'm not usually always
I'm saying that
editing.
films are meant to be for general audience members. You can't say that a
Yeah,
film's
that's
meant
true.
to be for
That's
one
true.
guy.
okay, yeah. I thought
It's
you
just
said
Unless
it.
you're watching
You were
some, like pretentious movie, like
you were
Sharknado.
insinuating a certain.
Shrek 3, yeah.
Yeah, Shrek
But
3.
that's my point. Is like in the editing and its intention. The reason I think
It did its job
it
when it
didn't
comes-
stand out is because
Yeah.
when you're intentionally cutting for drama, which is what we're arguing here.
Guess I'm very easily impressed. Like,
No,
come here really quick, Austin.
But you're the market audience.
Oh.
You two like.
I don't know how to
these
take
films.
that. But
You two like these films. You two are like. I'm a sucker for musicals and rom coms. You're
Okay,
a
that's
sucker
good.
for sports films.
That's good.
I mean, that's just what's fair.
That's
You're
true.
Right.
I'll
It's
give you that.
catering towards you, but the editing didn't do anything. At least for me on the drama front, it didn't. It wasn't super intentional. We're like, oh shit, there was an L cut here
You know,
because we hear the
That's why.
well, that's one of the most powerful
Here's the
scenes.
thing.
Once they hear like the whole commotion of Nicky Lara's back,
Uh-huh.
you get that powerful scene of you get James Hunt walking by, and then he finally sees something. You see this Playboy guy, and this guy has a burned out face.
That's
And
a
then
shot thing. That's not an editing.
And then you get the whole dialogue of, you know what, you're the one that got me out of the bed. And that's just the rival. That's the. I don't know how you guys are saying the cinematography. Dude, that's
Cinematography.
beautiful. That's
the moment. The moment.
That comes from the fact that he's just a skilled
That's why I watch a
cinematographer who
movie
knows
for
how
the
to make
moment.
it.
The
you know?
one moment of 236
No!
shots.
Dude, come on. From the whole intense scene that he doesn't want to race, and this guy's just being a dick about it.
This
like,
is-
no,
this
no,
is
we're
why-
gonna
Guys, the
race.
real question is, was he the dog killer?
That's the real. That's the bottom.
They're out there.
They hit him with a car.
No. You know what? This is why I can't score the film. I'll say lower than a 7, because
It was no death.
It's 'cause
Death
you
what
guys
was it called?
see all
Death
the
sentence. It was
stuff.
no death sentence, dude. I mean,
no, it,
what
like
I give that film? It was probably my lowest rating.
the film like
So bad you didn't even rate it.
Did I? I didn't.
I love you,
the,
Yoko.
the film knew what is it called? It knew what it was. It knew who the audience was going to be,
Yeah, absolutely.
and it knew how to execute that. Because
Yeah,
no,
okay,
because
thank
can I say that I could, DP or dare I say like direct a film like that? No, because
can't.
it's
I mean-
not in the wheelhouse.
No,
the
I
kind
wouldn't
of
want to.
films and aesthetic we go to. Okay,
I'm still trying to think of
shut up.
other
You're
NASCAR
ruining the point.
movies.
No, but like that's their thing, that they understand the ins and outs of how to make something actiony, punchy, and all
Yeah,
that. And they're for directors that know that and like
And
are
Ron,
trying
Ron
to do
Howard's a chameleon, man.
Yeah.
He can go from shooting something like this, like I said, to shooting something like the Da Vinci Code. I mean, he's a chameleon, but I don't think in his repertoire. Just say this alone. Let's not even compare this versus other films. Compare this to other Ron Howard films. I wouldn't put this in this top 5, maybe top 10, but I wouldn't put it in this top 5. I would not put this in this top 5. You know what I mean? So like, and by the way, we got to talk about the performances because that's probably the best thing this film had going for it. The performances were great, and Ron Howard comes from acting. He was an actor before he was a director. He acted for George Lucas. He was in American Graffiti. That was one of his big breaks.
Oh, for real?
He was an actor before he was a director, and he passed that along to his daughter. Bryce Dallas Howard is a fucking phenomenal actress, and she's a director now too. You know, so he comes from that school of like being an actor's director. So the performances is, in my opinion, and the casting is probably the best things this film has going for it.
Oh
Definitely.
yeah, dude. Like the first 10 minutes I was walking, but then Olivia Wilde came in, and I was like, I gotta stick around. Yeah, I gotta stick around.
That was it.
What's going on?
That's you too, right? Since Olivia Wilde's such a big crush to you.
Do you want?
By the way, another great actress director that went from acting.
She started directing.
Yeah, she did Booksmart, and she's currently doing a new film with the girl from Midsummer,
Do you know who she's dating?
Florence Pugh. Who? Olivia Wilde? She's married to
No,
Sudeikis.
she's not. They divorced.
Oh, that's right.
Harry.
That's right.
Oh.
Harry
Like,
Styles.
what?
That's right. Yeah.
But anyways,
yeah, no. She's another great.
So
I want to ask you guys. To me, I know this the performance acting.
Uh huh.
To me, obviously, the Playboy, blonde.
Mhm.
People think that's an easy part, but you know,
no part to need.
No, part.
there's no. But yeah, James Hunt, portrayed by Chris Hemsworth, playing the Playboy. I guess you expect it.
Yeah.
But the other guy, Nicky Lara, that guy, started not liking him
Uh-huh.
towards the end. I just liked his.
Yeah.
He's not over the top. He's the yin yang, right? He just his
I
performance.
don't know. I don't know if it's quite Oscar worthy, but it was definitely my favorite performance of the film.
But what you guys don't see is what I'm trying to tell you is that he captures that whole thing of.
Maybe it is Oscar worthy.
It's not that he's not better than this guy. It's just that this guy, not that he practices. Fuck, I'm lost in my words.
No, I get what you're saying.
His arc.
The
Yeah.
performance is like I said, the performance is the best thing it's got going for it because it's able to portray that successfully.
Exactly.
The whole time we think this guy's the douche, right? I mean, half the film we think this guy's the douche until we see that he's the smarter one.
Exactly. He
He
wants
has
to
his
do it
head on
the
the
right
shoulders
way,
a little
exactly.
more. Yeah, I get it. And Daniel Bro's performance is
Yeah, that was a
credit
tough one.
entirely
To
to
bring
Imagine
up the Oscar thing, he was going up against McConaughey.
McConaughey, Leo,
Bruce Dern, Leo
Bruce Dern for what?
for Nebraska,
Oh yeah, I heard good things.
Bale for American Hustle, and I'm sorry if I'm
Shit,
mispronouncing
yeah.
it. Chiwetel Ejiofor?
Who?
Or what's his name?
Who?
I don't know how to pronounce it.
For what?
For 12 Years a Slave.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, that was a good.
So,
that was a good Oscar.
That's who
year.
he was going up against.
That's
that year.
true. That's
Yeah,
true. But,
that's
but would you categorize this as supporting? That's the problem. They're split in half. That's probably why he didn't get nominated too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a tough.
You know,
one.
like
They didn't
I
know.
remember the whole argument which pissed me off is like the film Lion. Dev Patel was nominated as supporting actor because the kid was half of the screen time.
Oof.
You know, so like it's tough. It's tough to
even
like.
that for supporting Jared Leto,
yeah.
Jonah Hill,
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper, Michael Fassbender, and Barkada Abid.
Yeah, American Hustle, Bell and Hustle, dude. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
All of them. I think.
Yeah,
Oh.
American Hustle is fucking great. Anyways, yeah, it's tough, but I don't know what would you pick. That's always the last question. Is who would you go with?
Yeah,
I
as
like
my
Bro.
question always goes.
I like Bro, man.
Gus would have gone with the tits. He would have played.
Yeah,
We'll
well,
play the
I'd
tits.
probably go
Anybody
for the Playboy guy
Idiots.
for James Hunt. But you know what? If I wanted a
Really?
if I wanted a challenge,
Mhm.
I go for Nicky
You
Lara.
go for Bro.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was questioning his decisions at the beginning, but then it's like, okay,
Can
it's this
you-
guy that's just trying to.
I was gonna say like on an actor question. Can you describe the challenges of playing a character who's foreign in nature? Like what do you feel like you would have to prepare in yourself so that way you could like accomplish that in a way that you're satisfied with?
Yeah.
Elaborate on the
I remember
question,
Matt
like-
Damon, like for instance, Matt Damon when he did it was Invictus with Clint Eastwood. he moved to
That was what I was gonna say. I think the hardest part is
You know.
not offending wherever I'm trying.
all
to...
the culture or whatever.
Yeah, because I
And that one's a true story too, right? Invictus, like he was portraying an actual guy.
yeah, and I heard that you could offend, like not offend, but disrespect if you say certain words.
Dialect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's appropriation. Yeah, it's,
So, for sure, training is a must for stuff like that, right? It's
Yeah.
not in like 2 weeks. No, you need to go like Invictus. You gotta live over there.
Which Bro did too for this, right? We were talking about how
yeah.
You
Bro.
know, but the real one, Nicky Lara, he said it was only 80% true in this film, which is typical.
yeah, but that's Hollywood taking, liberal.
But you wonder what did they
liberty.
fabricate or what did they?
Well,
I don't-
80% is pretty damn good.
Yeah, for a biopic, man, that's pretty damn good.
But it makes you wonder like what 20% was the
And,
line.
it was probably the fact that they didn't have that conversation in the airplane, or by the airplanes. They didn't.
Oh yeah, they
You
always
know.
need those like plot
Yeah,
turning
those-
moments.
but
yeah.
it's for aesthetics, right? Let's put them against the airplane. They probably didn't hug it out at the cars. They probably went to their rooms and bumped into each other at the hotel and said good shit, whatever. Like I feel like that's probably where it takes artistic. all the best moments.
Yeah, I know, because he didn't elaborate in
I
that
mean,
interview.
the fact that the wife and him probably didn't have that conversation in the hospital. He probably didn't try to put the helmet on.
I hope they
I don't know.
Yeah. That's
That's all artistic. Artistic freedom or whatever they call it, liberty, artistic liberty. Like, that makes the picture better.
Yeah.
Life
Exactly.
is
You have
boring,
to-
dude.
you have to-
Life
exactly.
is dull. I mean,
exactly.
that's
You gotta spice it up a little.
yeah.
bit.
So I would argue maybe that's the 20%. And
So
it's not,
final points, Castro, Carlos.
Man, you know what? Obviously the performances got me. The story, the way it developed, the rivalry, and it's not so much the rivalry. It's
after our conversation here? Did your 9.3 change? Are you sticking to your 9.3?
I'm sticking with my 9.3.
Yeah, you feel like
Because
that's
it was a
so-
fun ride. Like you guys are calling
Took
it.
you to a
I'm
journey.
the audience. I got
Took you on a
lost in
journey.
it.
Yeah.
And then it really got to me because, I don't know how you guys have not had that rivalry with some
Yeah,
somebody better than you.
yeah, I get
Yeah.
it.
And it's
not
Dude,
'cause
even as filmmakers, like you look around and you're like,
Oh man,
And it's not
especially
as
it's
artists,
so-
as
yeah.
filmmakers, like we get it. You go through the same thing. It's just not like
But it's
I
not,
think the scapegoat that artist has is like, well, I'm not competing again. Well, I'm competing with my art. You know what I mean? So we have that scapegoat.
I mean, we're
Okay.
not like
But-
in the heat of battle. Like,
yeah,
but
but you're actively as an athlete, you're actively comparing.
But that just
You see that guy.
yeah, you
that,
yeah.
that flows over to life, dude. It's just
That's true.
you need that type of
push, motivation,
exactly,
competitiveness. I mean,
and that humbleness of
yeah,
there's always somebody better.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
not because you're not
yeah.
practicing enough. It's just
There's just
you got a
naturally
James
somebody
Hunt
better.
who's
Yeah,
living to the fullest that died at 45 of a heart attack. F1 racing? That's
yeah. Your final points still out here.
The dog killer is still out there.
if anybody
And
has
for-
any ideas, any
Leads
Theories.
for every subsequent
Oh my
episode
God.
until this show ends, I will bring up the dog killer because he is
we're gonna
out
put
there.
a poll on Facebook.
Somebody is him, and only Castro is going to figure this out. I swear
Dude, you don't fuck with dogs.
to God.
The last that was the last episode. What's your rush?
The dog killer.
Dog killer's out there. Every episode, I am bringing this up.
The dog killer was in the F1 car.
I don't care how many times I need to do it until we find him.
So.
Your
Again,
your
I-
7.9 change.
No, it didn't change
Damn
because
it!
I no, like the thing is what I love about the show and us talking about these different types of films, I mean, I like find like my niche and my wheelhouse.
That's
and
beautiful.
It solidifies that for you more, I agree.
I'm developing my taste and it's getting more solid, but I'm also realizing how challenging it would be to do something away from that. You
Yeah,
know?
man, you can't knock. You can't
Yeah, I
knock.
bet you that's gonna happen to you guys. Where it's
Yeah,
just
But
like,
that's
you
my
need a
point.
challenge.
Like that's my point. No, but it's not
need
like
to challenge yourself.
it's not that. It's the fact that like as directors, at
Doing
least
it
like
well.
yeah,
Dude, in
as
5 years-
as a director, you're scared of like number one, you're scared of not finding your voice, and then you're scared of finding your voice and losing it. So when you see another director like,
Damn.
where are you going with this? Where are you going with this? This isn't you, or it is you, and you're trying to do something else.
Yeah.
It's scary because
Yeah, that
I
is.
know
You
Ron
know what?
Howard's
You
a
know
good
what?
director. You
I
know?
mean,
That
on a personal front, I mean, we just came off of doing like your film,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Town Square Tale, and
Coming soon.
coming
2018,
soon,
October.
still out there. No, we did Town Square Tale, and you know,
the dog killer's in that too.
sprinkles. And for
That's the
me,
Patreon channel we're gonna talk about.
me working on that film and seeing that style that I really
Yeah.
liked and working with you in that synergy,
Yeah.
and then looking at this film and thinking like, do I see myself doing this like down the line?
Right, yeah.
And it's like, no, I just.
And
I
hey,
can't-
man,
I can't
money
because,
talks, right? But no,
They
I
bring you up and they just take you down.
I agree with it. No, I agree with it. It's like you're.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I agree with it.
It
Like
made no
you-
sense.
Wait,
So
like-
they would never try something.
We
like
just
that?
no, wait. We just came off of a film where we both felt that we connected to the material. We wanted to tell this story,
That's beautiful.
and quite frankly, we were pretty confident in our voices as filmmakers. We were confident, like, hey,
That's
dude,
what
we
you need.
actually like got
Yeah.
what we wanted out of this.
Yeah.
So far, we'll see the final
Jesus.
cut, but so far, no. But we both came off of the film like that, and then you see a film like this, and you're like, I can't see myself doing something like this. At least not, definitely not in the next 10 years.
Yeah,
you know,
and
who
it's not-
knows?
it's
Like,
not
No, yeah, no, I'm saying, but there's gonna come a point in time where it just like, I want to try something like
what someone's gonna
No, yeah,
but
for
look,
sure.
look. And
Just-
by that
that's-
regard,
that's a
by that
different-
regard,
That's a different
by that
feeling.
regard, you know, my closest confidants, you could say, know that I want to do a biopic. I'm not gonna say on who, but I genuinely want to do a biopic. But I wouldn't do the biopic this way. You know what I mean?
Rick James?
To super
I'm Rick
freak. I'm calling it
James.
super freak. It's gonna be fuck your couch. No, in regards to like the biopic formula, this film felt like it didn't feel like a biopic. I could have cared less if the characters were real.
yeah,
Like if the
nah.
characters were real or not, I would have believed you either way. You know what I mean? But if I'm doing a biopic on somebody I care about and I want to tell their story, I'm gonna be a little more careful with how I tell it.
And
Right?
it's also it's gonna be.
This would you guys categorize this as a biopic?
It is a biopic.
It's a blend.
No, it is. It's a biopic. It's about somebody else
Yeah,
that it
but
actually
biopic
existed.
Is like that Biggie Smalls one with like that's a legit biopic.
That's how I would approach. That's my point. That's how I would approach. That's the
Gastro,
approach.
You've
That's
now found the fundamental problem with this film.
execution of telling.
Elaborate a little bit on that. So what do you mean?
You're
The
saying it's a
execution-
blend. It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be a blend.
It should be
Well,
like.
it's fun.
Thank you for proving our point.
It's fun to blend. That's what I'm saying.
Because it's fun, and.
Hey, you're not wrong.
Austin.
No, you're not
I'm
wrong.
on the ground.
You're not
I'm
wrong.
gonna meet up.
You're not wrong. Film is subjective, and if you
Yeah,
had fun with it,
exactly.
you had fun with it. That's fair. I didn't have fun with it.
Austin.
It pissed me off. So, Austin, last thoughts, man.
Jesus, Austin, I'm gonna leave
Did
you
your
on your own.
did your perspective change? I mean, look, I mean, you didn't come in on the super. I love this film, and you know, you just came in on it on like.
Nah. Don't sugarcoat it. He picked it.
Damn!
Yeah, but then you picked a movie like Split. So
Oh, that hurt,
Hey,
man.
no, baby.
That hurt, man.
Hey, I gave Split a better rating than this, so you better
That's
be
why
great.
he loves this film, because
Suck
it's
it.
split. You don't know what it is. Everything's just 50-50.
Hey, some kind of weird complex.
wait, but then what if
kinda
the
makes
dog
sense.
killer? It's 50-50.
Oh my god.
And it kinda
Final
makes sense.
thoughts.
I'd watch it again. Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah,
You picked it enough to watch it again?
I'd show it to my dad. I
Okay,
mean,
it's not as far as a dad film.
it's not only a dead.
Hey, I would think it's that one because
It's not
grew
only
up-
a dad
They
film,
grew
you're
up in
right,
that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
how old is
no,
your dad?
What was
In the summer of
I don't know, 60s, 50s,
Yeah,
late
it's-
50s,
I think it was
early
like
60s.
50s,
My dad?
60s.
My
Yeah.
pops was born in 70, bro.
Nah, my dad's.
But I wouldn't classify it as a quote unquote dad film.
Not just a dad
Yeah.
film. I agree with that.
I wouldn't even say that some of them would enjoy it. Like if I were to show this movie to my pops, who enjoys what we classify dad films, he wouldn't like this film.
That's true. That's fair. That's what I'm saying. That's why it
Your
gets.
dad doesn't like cars.
That's why it gets a 7.
Then he ain't a dad.
Go night night.
You'll learn it.
No, but that's why it gets a
Hey, with your
7,
chest.
bro. That's why it gets a 7 because it didn't. It's better than a pop
No,
film.
that's why you give it.
That's why I get it. Yeah, that's why we give it a 7.
You know what it is? It's because they didn't reference Scorsese in the film.
Oh
Exactly,
my
man. There was no mention, no
gosh.
poster in the
I was
background.
watching
nothing.
Goodfellas right before I came here, by the way, too. So
There wasn't even a
that
character
doesn't
named
help.
Martin.
I've
You know?
seen it now.
Martin, Tony, or whatever. No, seriously, that's why it did well because you're right. It's not just a dad film where like pops will like just because of the action. It has layers to it, but the layers are everywhere.
Nah, man.
I'll say this.
They're
Get
neatly
yourself-
stacked.
I'll say this.
They're just not organized.
If you're just going through Netflix and you're looking for something to watch, you enjoy the action, biopic, Thriller.
No, you
Let me ask you this.
Thriller?
Let me ask you this.
No,
After
you
watching,
enjoy Sharknado. Your opinion is not validated.
What?
The
Okay,
door's
we're getting
behind
to
you.
Sharknado.
No, okay.
I swear to God.
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
This is my last question.
He's
After
out there.
You guys honestly think that? Fuck! I lost my train of thought. No,
He's out there.
after watching this film, you guys didn't want to go and drive a F1 car.
No, but I
I
did a bunch
barely
No,
of
I
wanna
was
research
try.
on it.
scared, dude. I was like, I'm gonna fucking kill
Oh,
myself if I get in
man.
the F1
No,
car.
but like I did a lot of research on it and stuff.
Oh,
too,
that's a
dude.
good question. Like, if you came off, like, you know what I did research on? The actual guys. Like, I was like,
Yeah, me too.
yeah, what are these guys about? Like, what
Yeah, I
did they
saw
do? Did they
a couple
accomplish anything further? Like, it was very curious to me that, like, Hemsworth's character only cared about winning the one.
Yeah.
And Bro's character was like, I'm coming back, and you better fucking come back, too, because if
But
you don't
that's
come
the-
back, I can't come back.
And that's
Like,
one of my
yeah.
favorite lines in the film, which is kind of like.
He didn't win again.
No, but it was just towards the end, where it's like, what's the point of having so many trophies if you can't have fun? Which is a bad, but I
No,
get
but
it.
that was his character, right? That
Exactly,
was
exactly.
I mean, didn't he go on to be like a TV personality or some shit?
Yeah, but he died at 45.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, TV host.
All right, but yours didn't change. You'd watch it again. You're at an 8. What was 8.3?
Something like that.
Fair enough.
You picked the film.
I know, man.
Yeah, it doesn't mean I love it.
Something
like I
like
said,
that means-
Castro picked Split, so.
Bro.
Oh, but he loves
Man,
Split.
just to spite everybody, I want to choose Sharknado. Next film we are
Yeah, I'm down with it,
No,
man.
no. In all seriousness, like I keep mine at a 7.1, but
At least bump it up a little.
no, man, no.
No, let me go
Not-
outside.
No,
Not
no,
after
no,
your
I-
answer.
I- no, not after your answer. No. Like I'll be honest with you. I won't. If it's on cable and there's nothing else on, I'll leave it. But I'm not gonna go actively watch it again. I probably wouldn't. You know, it's just.
It's
Would
an
you- would
FX
you guys-
film.
It's an FX film. It's an FX
Would you guys
film.
watch-
We've just now come up with that. We've never said that term in our lives.
It is, yeah, it's true.
It's an FX film.
Yeah.
It's an FX film, and I'd watch it on FX if it were there.
What if Split come out? What's on?
I've
I turned off the TV.
You know what's up with
I canceled my subscriber.
I'd watch
Split
half.
is like I haven't seen Glass, but it's been coming out a
But,
lot on cable lately, and I'm tempted to just leave it on, but I want to watch it from the beginning, so I'm like,
Yeah.
Which one?
shit, Glass.
You could pass. You could.
Oh yeah.
you could pass it up.
too.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, it's an FX film. It's fine. Check it out. I mean, no, like if you're, you see the sense in my
It's more
enthusiasm.
than an FX
Way to
film,
shoot
though.
I don't know.
Hey man, I told you guys not to watch Death Sentence, but in this case,
Yoko, I love you, man.
I love you, Yoko. I won't watch
We're
it
here
again.
for you.
And
Death
Eric
Sentence
too.
is an FX film. This is
No, it's
this is
not.
like a
Death
Yeah,
Sen-
it
Death
actually
Sentence.
is.
This
It actually
this
is.
is like a Stars at Showtime.
No, this is,
No, Death Sentence
FX
is
for sure.
what's Rodriguez's network?
Lifetime.
El Rey.
El Rey. Death Sentence
The
is
one
an El
that got
Rey
taken
picture. Okay, it's not a
Yoko,
Death
we
Sentence.
Where
love
we're
you.
Split is like an
It's not quite
HBO
an
Max.
NBA, yeah.
Yoko, we
Yeah,
love
yeah.
you.
We love you, Yoko, Yoko.
And for Robert Rodriguez, if you're listening, that is not knocking out Ray.
No, not in the slightest. It's just
Not at all.
We will take your money
we love you.
anytime.
No, but in all
Will you help
seriousness,
us find
in all
the-
seriousness, it's got its own market, dude. And who are we to say anything? These types of films make more money than all of us combined. Like it's
Yeah.
got its own market.
Let's
It's got
be
its own
honest,
audience.
Like the
Like,
films that in our wheelhouse are financially unsuccessful.
yeah, are the reason
Like
why
old classic,
studios don't have confidence
Yeah.
in directors anymore. But you know, it is what it is. Like it's fine. Like there's a niche market, not even a niche. There's a big market for this, and
It did it.
chances are,
Did it well?
if you're watching films, you watch something like Ford v Ferrari. I'd throw it in the same category. I didn't love it. The only reason I watched this is I love Matt Damon.
All right, then here's the last question. Which one did you guys prefer?
Oh, that's a good question. Fuck, you're not gonna like the answer, probably Ford v
Easy.
Ferrari.
Haven't seen Ford v Ferrari,
Oh, fair.
so I prefer Ford
I-
v Ferrari.
It's got. Oh man.
It's because, dude, just the fact that like Damon's character as the Texan, like Bell's character as the mechanic, like I like that arc a lot more. I like that relationship a whole lot more, and they get into fist fights, dude.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that whole. There's no competition. There's like, I want you to work on my shit. It's gonna make history.
There is a competition.
No, there isn't.
Yeah,
At the
between
beginning.
Damon and Bale versus Ford.
At the beginning.
Well, yeah, fine. Ford and the
Shelby.
no.
Yeah.
There's no competition between Shelby and
Yes, there is. There's an internal conflict.
the conflict is not competition.
We're
But
not doing
it
that
is. They're
film.
fighting the entire time.
We're not
through
doing
the
that film.
Conflict is not
Stop it.
competition. Ththey're not
Okay, it's still a
competing. They're
competition
working
Thank you.
between Ford
together.
and Shelby.
For listening to this episode of the WatchTower.
We will discuss this after.
Yeah.
Catch us on
Castro,
YouTube,
Rush or Ford v Ferrari?
Spotify, any podcast
Rush.
platform.
Screw you guys.
Rush. Fair enough.
I'm with Castro on that.
You pick Rush over Ford v Ferrari.
And we're going to continue this conversation.
Yeah,
after
off camera. Next
That's for the
pick.
Patreon
Next
comment.
pick for the WatchTower podcast is actually Mr. Lalau's pick. And did you end up deciding?
Yeah.
It better not be.
Better not be Sharknado.
It's
Sharknado, here we come.
I
boys.
need something more cultured than this, you son of a bitch.
Sharknado.
No, he wants to go with the Wes Anderson, so he's kind of in a
Yeah,
debate
he's-
between two.
well, did you pick?
No,
If you didn't pick, you didn't pick. But.
No, I did. We're gonna be doing Harold and Maude. I
Oh,
okay,
Harold and
okay.
Maude next. All right.
I
It's,
got the
it's,
bullet.
I haven't seen it.
I got the
You've
bullet.
never seen it, have you?
I haven't.
how Ashby would be rolling over in his fucking grave right now. Is he dead? I think he's dead.
He's
He
rolling
was
over
pretty
somewhere.
old when he directed the film, so I think he's
So you
dead.
say he has
Rolling over in his
bullets.
bed, probably.
Yeah.
In his bed.
If you okay, I was gonna say if you haven't seen Harold and Maude, but no,
You've probably
haven't.
seen Rush over Harold and Maude.
You
Let's
ha-
face it.
Yeah.
Oh!
No one's seen Harold and Maude, but we're excited to
Good
talk
place.
about it. Yeah.
Check it out next time.
Fun film.
Follow us on all social media, Towercast Network on Instagram, and keep a lookout on all podcasting platforms. If your friends don't know about this podcast, let them know that we sit around and talk bullshit about cinema.
And as of recording this episode,
Yeah,
we are now considering TikTok.
right.
Okay, this is news to me.
We actually, whatever.
One
Anyways,
out of 4 people is considering TikTok.
thank you for joining us on the WatchTower podcast. Keep watching cinema. Keep collecting home media. Submit your questions to us. We'd love to talk to you guys, man. Let us know anything we're doing right, wrong, or want to submit a film. We love you guys. Thank you very much.
Love you,
Take care,
fellas.
guys.